Hello. Welcome back to another Shoe Snob blog video series, One Take Wonders. Here we are with a new podcast. Two podcasts in one day won't mean anything to you now because I probably would have already put the other one a few weeks back or a week back or whatever. But yeah, being that I do like one podcast every 6 months, I thought I'd try to get in a couple in one day so I can break this cycle of one every 6 months. But yeah, today's podcast is about, I mean, I don't know, I don't like to use the word inflation because I'm not an expert in economics or anything like that, but just like the idea that, you know, 300 is the new 500. So what I mean by that is years ago, I don't recall how many, but I want to say at least 10. I wrote a blog post indicating that kind of $300 was the entry price to a good welted shoe. And this might have been more than 10 years ago because it might have been, I don't think it was prior to Meerman. I think Meerman had already got on the scene, and I kind of used them as an exception because Meerman was like the first to come out and offer welted shoes for $200. It was unheard of before that. And globalization was barely a thing then. There was no Chinese brands. There were no Indian brands. There were none of these brands. There was Edmonds was your like lowest entry point shoe. Some other brands like Septième Lager out of Europe, Carlos Santos, etc. You could find like, $300 shoes, $275, $300 was the entry price to get a solid welted shoe. But that doesn't so much exist anymore now. Of course, the whole influx of Chinese and Indian brands made that exist again, but the brands that used to be $300 are really now $500. Some have managed to hold on to a lower price point, like Septième Lager still sells, I think, now around 400, but it's all going to change very soon with the tariffs. And some brands were, kept their margin low to have volume. But I like to use the brand Allen Edmonds because they're big, everybody knows them, and I have, an intimate relationship with them prior to them raising above $300. So when I sold shoes at Nordstrom, I sold a lot of Allen Edmonds. There was basically three Goodyear welted option shoes we had there. We had Allen Edmonds, we had excuse me, we had Churches, and we had one, maybe two Santoni Goodyear welt options. And at the time, Allen Edmonds were $295, and it was a solid shoe. I had a pair of Allen Edmonds. I had several, as it goes. I can't remember the name of the one that I had that I loved. It was the only tan shoe I've ever loved. It was essentially a hole cut, and it had a punched cap with a medallion, and it was this really rich caramel tan, not caramel, lighter than caramel. Yeah, I don't even know, tan, golden tan. The D, I want to say that started with a D. Anyway, I love that shoe. And that was back when, in my opinion, Allen Edmonds was making fantastic shoes, Whether we want to be like objective here, because I like to just be objective, not subjective. Emotions are overrated when you're just talking about facts. And the fact of the matter is, Allen Edmonds changed. They got bought out. And when finance bros buy out brands that are quality, finance guys are looking to make profit. And the only way to make profit when you're selling caliber is to cut quality to raise profit margin. That's the way it goes. Let's just be real. Business is business. It's not an emotional, subjective thing. It's business. And that's what you have to do. You know, if making your uppers in America costs you $20 per pair, and you know, you need to gain some profit margin, well, you send it to India and now it costs $10 per pair. You make 200,000 pairs a year. You just saved $2 million. So these are the things brands and businesses think about. Let's just get real. You know, they're not thinking, hey, let me spend 2 million so I can keep my uppers made in America. Just nobody thinks like that. I mean, they might have to now. They definitely will, because they can't go send those uppers to India anymore and get a great deal. So, but this is regardless, you know, not bagging on Alan Edmonds. This is just the way business goes. And it's just, sometimes it's just frustrating about how naive people are about it. It's reality. It's a scare. My fear, which is silly because I don't know if I'll ever grow to that size, but my fear was, if I ever became like Alan Edmonds, how could I keep my quality? And that's a fear that every business faces, and inevitably they almost all go the same route, which is cutting corners, making an inferior product while raising prices. It's just the way it goes. Ferragamo, Gucci, all the fashion brands, they were all started by a person or a family that actually cared about quality, but then they got so big that at the end it just became more about price and a look and a name than anything else. So, going on a tangent, the reality is 300 is the new 500. 500 almost is like now the entry point to a good quality shoe. I see $300 and $400 products that are pretty subpar, to be honest. Even my own shoes, like, they're raising in price, like my entry line, and I'm just like, they're approaching where I almost need, I have to start selling them for $400. And it's a lot of money. I think about it, I'm like, it's almost half of $1,000. It's crazy. And I even asked myself, are they worth it? But it's the price I have to sell them at to stay in business, because everything is so expensive. My factory has honestly raised those prices of my economic line 50% in the last 2 years. I don't know if, you know, just to give you an example, what 50% means, in case that number doesn't mean anything to you. If, for example, they used to cost 100, they now cost 150. It's a big price hike for a cost price. And to get a standard margin now of 2.7, 2.8, which is the common margin in the dress shoe welted industry, I need to sell them for $395 to $415. That's the reality. And again, 300 is the new 500. When I first launched them, they were $275 and $295, and I thought, man, I'm gonna be blowing these out the water. $275, it's a great deal. But since the pandemic, which changed everything, none of that is possible. And you're starting to see that across the board. And you're going to start seeing it even more in America with the new tariffs. So, yeah, it's funny because I've just been, checking prices out lately. Sperry's, there are Sperry's that are $195. Sperry boat shoes. I used to have like 10 pairs of Sperry's back when they were $64.95 at Nordstrom. And then I think they went to $74.95. And then I think they went to $89.95. And after that, I never bought any more because then I moved to Europe and you don't find Sperry's in Europe. But I remember when they were $64.95. Again, I had every Sperry there was. I had the navy, the yellow, the green, one of the browns. I don't recall. I had like some collab ones they did. I don't even remember. I had a lot of Sperry's. I love Sperry's. I love boat shoes, actually. Sperry's I like, but they're not that comfortable, to be honest. But I like boat shoes. And then, yeah, Sperry Gold Cup is like, I think those are $195. And the other Sperry's are like $150, $140 something. But from $64.95 to $140, I mean, that's double in change almost. So, yeah, it just goes to show that 300's the new 500. It's logic. $64.95, $140, 300 to 500. Pretty soon it'll be 300's the new 600. Everything is so expensive. It's wild. Shoes in general. Nikes are like $220 some dollars. I'm trying not to curse here. You know, you guys really don't know me, but in my real life, I curse a lot. And things like this make me want to curse because it's crazy. I remember when Nikes were the expensive ones. I remember when a Nike became expensive when it broke $100, man. Jeez, I guess I'm old. I remember when I bought... I mean, I remember vividly, like, the most expensive Nikes ever at the time were like $169, and that was just insane. That was 25 years ago when I was 27 years ago. I think when I was 14 or 15, my mom made me a deal. Great mom. She wanted to make me read 2 books, so she promised to buy me 2 sneakers in exchange to read 2 books. Sounds kind of spoiled, but she really wanted me to read these 2 books. And I picked, of course, the 2 most expensive shoes there were, which were also the 2 coolest shoes there were at the time. Those same 2 shoes, I mean, I don't buy Nikes or even look at their prices anymore, really, unless I'm buying shoes for my children. But I imagine they're upwards of 300 now. I mean, they're collectibles. Those were like the Air Max somethings from 27 years ago. And, but yeah, like average Nikes these days, I used to wear the Air Force Ones. And when I wore the Air Force Ones, they were $74.95. And now, all right, I'm not going to lie because I don't know their price now. I don't really look at them, but I know they're like, you know, $150 or something. And so everything has almost doubled in the last 10 or 15 years, 20. And yeah, it just got me thinking, like, when I had to realize I had to raise my entry point line to, they're going to be $400. They're going to be $395 in September. And it's kind of mind-boggling. And it's mind-boggling that Meerman manages to stay at $225 or whatever their lowest price is right now, which I think is around $225, which is, I don't know how they do it. They must be selling tons of shoes, and they're doing like a real big volume game. Because outside of them, all your other favorite shoemakers out of Asia and India, they're going to get more expensive. I imagine all of them. And yeah, I mean, the reason why I mentioned Sperry is I'm thinking about doing some boat shoes as a private label under the Shoe Snob. And the cost price out of Spain is like, I mean, especially because the euro is so strong right now against the dollar, the cost price is like $100 for one pair. Cost wholesale price. with the tariffs, they're gonna be like $130. I'm gonna have to sell them for like $250 for a boat shoe. Imagine a boat shoe. And I really want to do it because I love boat shoes. I'm getting older now, and I think I love a nice leather soled loafer. But instead of on casual days, I just want to knock around in a more casual loafer. I don't want to resort to wanting to wear sneakers. I'd love to have. That's why I've always loved the boat shoe. Is they're that kind of middle between a dress upper and a casual sole. But yeah, they're gonna have to be like $250. And then I just think, but that's how much everything is these days. My sneakers that I sell under J Fitzpatrick are $250. Everything is crazy expensive. $300 is the new $500. It's wild. The only thing that's not more expensive is our wages. Those didn't double, which is part of the problems that we're facing today, and the reason why we're in all these predicaments. But it's crazy stuff, right? 300's the new 500. And yeah. This will be a shorter podcast because really I could just keep saying 300 the new 500, but that, you'll get tired of hearing it. And but start to see that it's like everything. Toothpaste. You got thing of toothpastes, shavers, toothbrushes. Everything is more than double than what it used to be not that long ago. It's wild. It's really wild. We don't have to get started on gas prices. I'm old enough that I remember it was like $1.15 when I first started driving. It was the golden age. Thank God, because at 16 you don't really have a lot of money to be spending $4 a gallon. Yeah, it's wild. Expect prices to continue going up. I'm not an economist, so I don't have a solution or a change or whatever. Let's just hope that I don't know, people can start making more money again, because it's got to be a burst in the bubble. I feel like things are more expensive than we can really afford, and everybody's just going on credit. It's not a good scenario. It's not a good equation. And I don't mean to get philosophical or anything, but yeah, the prices are very different. And entry level, suit supply, God, suit supply used to be like great pricing. Now I look at suit supply, they might as well be an expensive brand now. Can't think of who else, but it's all changing. It's all changing. Anyway, leave your thoughts. The point of this podcast, I don't know, was just to say that you used to be able to get great things at a good price, and now everything's super expensive, at least if it comes from the West. And the stuff that comes from the East, well, that's all going to change in about 2 weeks, because it won't be as cheap. So yeah, I don't know, just something that was on my mind that I thought we could all just kind of sit back and relate to. So I'm sure you guys have all experienced it. A lot of big discussion is eggs, gas, toilet paper, everything that we can all relate to. Obviously, I see things out of the lens of shoes and cost price on shoes and shipping and leather and all these things. But yeah, $300 is really the new 500. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my off-the-cuff rant about inflation and the price of everything these days, especially in the world of footwear. Do leave your thoughts. If you are an economist and you know of a solution or where you think the world's going, hey, share. And like, subscribe, share the video, share your thoughts, share whatever. And thank you as always for tuning in, and do stay tuned for more because I always have more to come. And if you feel so inclined, please do visit my Patreon page where you can give for just as little as $5 a month. It does help. Everything is appreciated, especially your comments. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.